If you're looking for a gift for a whiskey lover this Father's Day, I've got some ideas for you. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey on the West Coast. My name is Matt. Today, we're talking about 10 ideas to buy the whiskey lover in your life for Father's Day. Now, this list doesn't necessarily have to be just for fathers. This could be applied next year to Mother's Day. This could be applied to someone's birthday. Any excuse you have to buy something for the whiskey lover in your life, I think any of these ideas would be great. But Father's Day is a great excuse to make a list. So here we go. Let's get to the list. First up on this list is for the bourbon lover in your life, and it's a Kentucky straight bourbon from Old Forester. It is the Old Forester 1920 Prohibition style Kentucky straight bourbon. And there's a number of different reasons why I'm suggesting this bottling. Number one is because it can be enjoyed so many different ways. Because of its high proof, it packs a lot of flavor, which means it can be served well over ice, like a large ice block in a tumbler. It's great that way. It's great in a mixed drink like an old fashioned. And the way I like to drink whiskey, neat, it's wonderful that way too. So it's really fantastic in that it can be enjoyed whatever way the whiskey lover in your life likes to enjoy their whiskeys. It's got a really cool story behind it too, as it's modeled off of a Prohibition style or Prohibition time period bourbon. And Old Forester is one of the few distilleries that was given and granted a license to make and bottle medicinal whiskey for a medicinal purpose. And at that time, it was bottled at about 57.5% alcohol, which is why this Old Forester 1920 edition is bottled at 57.5%. So like I said, it has a lot of flexibility in that ABV to be used a number of different ways. It's also not terribly expensive, and it's available. This isn't a unicorn bottling. It's available both in BC and Alberta here in Canada, and it seems to have fairly broad distribution. In Alberta, I know you can get it for about $65 on sale, and in BC, I think around $85, $90 a bottle. It's great value. On top of that, you can go ahead and buy a multi-pack, which has 375 ml bottles, three of them, a trio of them, so half bottles, of the Old Forester 1897, the 1910, and the 1920, if you want to give them some variety. And that costs about $115 in Alberta, and again, similar price in BC, maybe a little bit more. I think these are both great options for the bourbon lover in your life for Father's Day. The second gift suggestion on this list isn't actually a specific bottle, but it is to go ahead and look at the whiskey collection of the person you're buying for. Or if you know their tastes already, think about what they already enjoy, what they like to always have on their bar. Say they're a big Lagavulin fan, and they really like, say, the Lagavulin 8-year-old, or that's what they have on the bar at that point. You can get them the classic Lagavulin 16. You could upgrade them to the Lagavulin 12 cask strength, which is probably my favorite Lagavulin. Or maybe you get them a special edition release, like this third Offerman edition, the Charred Oak cask, STR cask, Lagavulin Offerman edition 11-year-old. It's delicious. It's a little bit expensive, but you're not really worried about price when it comes to buying a gift. You want something they're going to enjoy, and I really did enjoy that Lagavulin. Similarly, Ardbeg. If they have Ardbeg 10 and they're like, yeah, Ardbeg 10 is my whiskey, I love it, upgrade them to the Uchtdal, which is a sweet peat sort of sherried Ardbeg. Or even go a step further to the Ardbeg Corryvreckan, which really uses French oak casks in a really lovely way, in perfect harmony with that heavily peated Ardbeg spirit. I love the Corryvreckan. I'd be thrilled if somebody bought that for me. So yeah, upgrade them on what they already enjoy. I think it's a great way to go about it, and it's really safe. You know they already enjoy that type of whiskey. They're probably going to enjoy it even more. Number 3 on my list is going to be a whiskey that is meant to help you stretch your whiskey buying dollars. And that's because I know when I was in university, I didn't have much money to buy Father's Day gifts. I really had to make my dollars stretch. And you might be in that situation yourself. So one of the bottles I'd suggest you could pick up is the Craigellachie 13-year-old Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey. Now this whiskey is one of the top whiskeys on my top 10 Scotch whiskeys, affordable Scotch whiskeys list that came out a couple weeks ago. I love this whiskey. It is very characterful spirit. It is a worm tub distillery, which oftentimes means it has a little bit more body and heft to it. It's also uniquely one of the only distilleries that uses an oil-fired kiln to dry its barley. I think there's a lot going on with this whiskey. I always enjoy it when I have a glass of it. And it's about $49, $50 on sale in Alberta, Canada. In British Columbia, you can get it for about $80 Canadian. Hopefully wherever you are, it is also affordable and you can pick this one up for that person you're shopping for. Next up on this list, I'm gonna suggest that you change up or buy some alternative glassware for the whiskey lover in your life. I really enjoy using these Glencairns, and they're fine. They're perfectly great. I use them for my reviews and I use them casually. They're really the go-to kind of utilitarian whiskey glass out there right now. But it's always nice to change things up. And when I was at a restaurant in Whistler, British Columbia, I went to a restaurant. I had a glass of whiskey in this glass right here. And it's almost like a whiskey kind of nosing tumbler, which is really interesting. This is the Schatzweissel whiskey nosing glass bar special, which is a mouthful. It's a mouthful. But you can see the similarities in shape with this glass here to the Glencairn. It's almost like it's a larger Glencairn without the base on it. And it's really great to drink whiskey neat out of more casually, maybe with friends hanging out. But you can also throw a ice cube in there if you really wanted and drink, say, like a nice bourbon or rye with a large piece of ice. So I think these are a great alternative when you don't want to use your Glencairn. Alternatively, if you want something that really concentrates the nose on your whiskey, you can go with something like this over here, which is made by Glencairn. This is the PEATED, and I really enjoy these again when I'm trying to pull out more notes on the nose of a whiskey. They're a fantastic nosing glass, and I really appreciate them. I don't use them as much as the Glencairns because the stems can sometimes just be a little cumbersome or feel a little dainty. You feel like you might have to be more careful with it, but it's great for a change. Lastly, something I use almost every time I'm drinking whiskey, and again, unless I'm just with friends hanging out, is these Glencairn lids or caps. There's many different versions of these. You can get little wooden ones, bamboo ones with plastic seals that they push down and they seal over the glass. This is just a standard kind of glass lid. And you can find these on Amazon, and any of these, I'll try to link all these in the description below in case you're looking to purchase some of them. But yeah, I think these are all great options for many different budgets. You can buy one glass, you could buy a set of 6. You can buy a set of 6 lids and a few Glencairns as well if they don't already have Glencairns. These are really the workhorse of the whiskey lover these days. Halfway through this list, number 5 is going to be a sherried single malt Scotch whiskey, and I thought a great one to suggest is going to be the Arran The Bodega Sherry Cask strength single malt Scotch whiskey from the Isle of Arran. This is from Isle of Arran Distillers, the La Cranza Distillery. It's 55.8% alcohol. It's non-chill filtered. It's natural color, and it is a fantastic sherry bomb. And what makes it actually really great is that it's a well-balanced sherry bomb. If you can have a sherry bomb be well-balanced, I really enjoyed it. As you can tell, there's not much left in my bottle, and I'm gonna definitely go ahead and replace it because not only is it a great whiskey, but it's also a great value. In Alberta, Canada, you can get this for on sale about $68, regular $85. And even in British Columbia, it's about $120 to $130 Canadian. Yeah, really great whiskey. I highly suggest it. I love most of what Arran puts out there, and this one just seems to be a real crowd pleaser, so I highly suggest it. My next suggestion is actually going to be for reading material instead of a bottle or specific whiskey that you could buy the person in your life, because we spend far too much money on the actual whiskey and not enough learning about it, and a book is a great way to learn about it. And so the first book I want to mention is by Dave Broom. It's called A Sense of Place, and it's a really lovely, beautiful book with really fantastic photos. And I live a pretty busy life, and so this one I actually listened to through an audiobook, which was actually narrated by Dave, which was fantastic because I'm used to hearing his voice through his YouTube channel, Liquid Antiquarians. I really enjoyed it. It's very evocative. It really inspires a sense of understanding the place and the people that single malt Scotch whiskey comes from. Highly recommend A Sense of Place. Also, a whiskey book that I'm never caught without, I usually leave the house with it in my backpack, is the Malt Whiskey Yearbook by Ingvar Rond. This is the 2023 edition, and it is a fantastic resource for anything you want to know about single malt Scotch whiskey distilleries and some malt distilleries from around the world. I think it lists almost every malt distillery in the world. So fantastic resource. I like to purchase a copy of the new edition every year. And finally, another book by Dave Broom, just in case they don't like to focus specifically on single malt. Maybe they like bourbon, Japanese, rye. I would suggest, I believe the last time it was printed was 2014, but the Whiskey Atlas by Dave Broom. Really large volume, great coffee table book. I used to have a copy. I really enjoyed it. Mine was destroyed, sadly, but I think it's a fantastic resource and a really interesting read as well. For Dave's books, I'll link some Amazon links down below. For Ingvar's book, the Malt Whiskey Yearbook, I'll link his website down below in description if I get a chance. Now, my suggestion for the peated whiskey lover in your life on this list is going to be the Laphroaig 10 cask strength. Now, this is batch 13. I think we're on to batch 15 now, but this is bottled at 57.9% alcohol, and it is a cask strength, heavily peated Islay single malt Scotch whiskey. And it really is the quintessential Laphroaig bottling in my mind. It's kind of my home base when it comes to, I want the most Laphroaig-y bottle I can find. Now, you want to be careful because Laphroaig is a really divisive flavor profile, but if you know they really love heavily peated whiskeys and are not put off by the medicinal iodine band-aid kind of seaweedy notes you can find in Laphroaig, it's a banger of a bottle. It's actually what's in my glass right now. I really enjoy it. What you want to be really careful about, though, is it looks very similar to the Laphroaig 10-year-old, which, depending where you are, is either bottled at 40% or 43% alcohol. That's not the one I'm speaking of. The 10 cask strengths, again, will have this bar here. It'll have a batch number, in this case, as I mentioned, batch 13, and it'll be a higher percentage. Once again, this one's 57.9% alcohol. They're great bottles of whiskey. Again, some of my favorites. When I just want a big blast of Laphroaig in my face, you know I'm going to this bottle. The next idea on this list is going to be buying something local to you. It's a unique whiskey that only you could get in your backyard, which I think is a great idea. And really, by doing that, we become experts in our own whiskey market. We really know and get to know the small distilleries around us. And by doing so, we also support small businesses, which is a great thing in its own right. For me, located in British Columbia, Canada, these are representatives from 4 distilleries that I've really enjoyed. And so starting over here, Shelter Point Distillery is located in Campbell River on Vancouver Island, British Columbia. They make some great stuff. This is their Smoke Point whiskey. I've done a review of it. Their earlier batches used ex-Islay casks. They now use locally sourced peat and wood to smoke their barrels before they go ahead and fill them with their whiskey. Really cool stuff, really unique. In Victoria, British Columbia, again on Vancouver Island, is McIlhenny Caledonian. I believe they're now McIlhenny's Island Distillery. And they are just winning a bunch of awards from the World Whiskies Awards. They've got some really cool, interesting peated whiskeys coming out using locally sourced peat. Fantastic stuff. Really excited about them. In East Vancouver, a place I used to live, Odd Society Spirits. And they've gone ahead and they've used... for this Smoke and Oak Rauch malt, they used basically a German beer malt using, I believe it was beechwood, to add smoke to their whiskey through a gin basket. Really unique, really cool stuff. And finally, Sons of Vancouver in North Vancouver, they actually won Best Whiskey in Canada with this whiskey last year, Palm Trees and a Tropical Breeze. They are making a lot of noise and are well worth trying. Their rye whiskey is fantastic. I've been really impressed in what I've had so far. There's a embarrassment of riches in my local market, and I hope it's the same in yours. Next suggestion on my list is buying something from a new single malt Scotch whiskey distillery. Now, there are a bunch of new single malt Scotch whiskey distilleries in Scotland. Seems to be a new one opening up every week, and they're coming out with some great whiskey. And so I would like to suggest, because what us whiskey lovers really thrive on is new experiences, new bottlings, new whiskeys to try. There's a good chance with a new distillery that the whiskey lover in your life hasn't actually had something from that distillery yet, which is great news for you. One of my favorites for new distilleries is the Ardnamurchan Distillery. Now, the Ardnamurchan Distillery in the Western Highlands of Scotland, it's really rugged coastal environment that it's made in, and it really seems to reflect that environment in its tasting notes. The AD release here, which is their standard kind of core bottling, this is the AD 01 2101. They have less numbers on them now. They've kind of tried to simplify that so it's less confusing. It's got really like a mineralic quality to it, some like coastal, salty notes. And a lot of like fresh tropical bright fruit notes on it too. Again, lightly peated on this AD. If you want something with a bit more punch, the cask strength editions like this 0222, yeah, I got that right, AD 0222. It's just pure unadulterated Ardnamurchan and is actually a bit heavier peated on this. So if they like it a bit more smoky, the cask strength is phenomenal. What's more, you don't just have to go with Ardnamurchan. There's a bunch of different distilleries, and some of the ones I've really enjoyed so far for new distilleries are going to be Rasse Distillery. Lindors has some great stuff coming out. Torveg from the Isle of Skye. Glasgow Distillery, their peated expression is really good too, though 500 ml bottles moved to 700 ml now, so watch out for that. But buying something new, I think, is a great way to give a new gift for Father's Day. Before we get to our last gift idea on this list, I just want to go ahead and thank you for watching this. If you can go ahead and like, share, subscribe if you haven't already, I really appreciate it. And comment down below, what are you hoping to get for Father's Day? And maybe go ahead and send this video to the person who might be buying for you. And if they see your comment, maybe your wish will come true. Let's get to the last idea. Rounding out the list here, guys, is the suggestion to buy something extravagant, something over the top, something that they're just going to be thrilled to receive because they wouldn't have spent that much money. And so I've got a couple suggestions for this category, and one is going to be a Glenallachie single cask, single malt Scotch whiskey. Now, Glenallachie is a Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey distillery. It's run by the master blender, Billy Walker, he's really known for the work he did at Glendronach, for working with sherry casks. And Glenallachie, they seem to have pretty wide and broad distribution for different single casks in markets across the world. And in Alberta, for Kensington Wine Market, a great shop in Calgary, they brought in this 15-year-old Oloroso Sherry Puncheon cask, single cask. And I've had a few samples of it. This hasn't been cracked yet, but I've had it a couple times, and it's delicious. It's a fantastic cask strength sherry bomb. Basically, this is as close as you can get to pulling the whiskey straight out of the cask and into your glass as you can. Now, it's really cool in that you get a really unique whiskey experience that you're not going to have easily replicated because there's only 200 to 600 bottles of each of these made. So again, really unique, really rare, and something that any kind of whiskey botherer, any whiskey enthusiast is going to love having. So Glenallachie single casks, they're a great bet for the sherry lover. If you have someone who loves peated whiskeys, smoky whiskeys, Octomore does not fail to impress. And it's just by the mere sight of it, let alone how heavily peated the whiskey is. The most heavily peated whiskey in the world by phenol counts anyways, for ppm measurements before it goes into distillation. The bottle's cool. It's a really unique experience of itself. It's a little overpriced. However, I really enjoy the experience. It's so bold, brash, and in your face. And this 10-year-old really stunned me using cognac casks, port pipes, bourbon barrels. It's a fantastic whiskey. I love it. I'm not ashamed of it. And I think it's a great bottle to impress guests, to bring out at a party. Everyone's always curious at what is inside this bottle. I think whoever you buy it for is going to be absolutely over the moon and overjoyed to have it. So there you have it. That's my list, guys. Thank you once again for joining me. Hopefully you go ahead and like, share, subscribe. As I mentioned earlier, comment down below what you're hoping to get for Father's Day if you're a whiskey hopeful. Until next time, guys, thank you for joining me on the West Coast. Slange.